What you have to prove to get Social Security disability benefits for your restless leg syndrome. Restless leg syndrome, RLS, is a neurological condition that's characterized by overwhelming urge to move your legs. You might have the sensation of creeping, pulling, itching, burning, or throbbing, and that can range from being mildly unpleasant to downright painful and disabling. RLS is classified as a sleep disorder because of the constant need to move your legs, and that is going to result in an interference with your sleep. You can wake up in the morning feeling exhausted and unrefreshed. As a result, you may have excessive daytime sleepiness or problems with cognition, being able to stay on task, or other symptoms that make it unable for you to work. Now, what are the symptoms of sleep deprivation caused by the restless leg syndrome, and how does the Social Security Administration look at this? RLS causes poor sleep quality, and that can impact your ability to function in the workplace. You might have problems with memory impairment. You might have difficulty remembering things that you've done over the course of years. You also may be forgetful, so you may start a task and not complete it. You might have depression. You also might have other problems that will qualify you for Social Security disability benefits. But the issue ultimately is going to be whether the Social Security Administration thinks that you meet the 5-step sequential evaluation test. So what is that test, and how does it apply in a restless leg syndrome case? You have to meet the 5-step sequential test that requires you to prove the following. 1, that you have a medical condition that will keep you out of work or has kept you out of work for at least a year. 2, you have to have a medical condition that's permanent, not sort of temporary, like a strain or a sprain. And you also have to potentially meet at step 3 what's called a listing. The Social Security Administration has a book called The Listing of Impairments, and there's criteria for the applicable listing. But if you don't meet that, then we need to go on to steps 4 and 5. At step 4, the issue is, are you unable to return to the lightest physically demanding job you held in the 15 years before you became disabled? And the kicker at step 5 is an inability to perform any other work in the national economy in view of your age, your education, the transferable skills you've learned, and your restrictions and limitations. Now, that sounds daunting, but I think that there are some ways that you can go about proving your Social Security disability claim. In fact, I think there are 5 things that you need to know about how to prove your Social Security disability claim as a result of restless leg syndrome. The first thing is going to be related to medical evidence. Now, there is evidence that indicates that restless leg syndrome is related to balance or a problem with the production or a disturbance in the pathways in the body that allow for the transport of dopamine. And that can cause involuntary movements associated with restless leg syndrome. And so that needs to be a factor in the diagnosis. And it's based on a complete history of physical exam finding and testing. That testing should include sleep apnea testing and lab testing. The Social Security Administration is going to expect that you've undergone that testing. And as I said, there's a laundry list of things they'll be looking for, such as a polysonogram, an EEG or an EON, an EMG. They'll also be looking for EKGs, and they'll also be looking for arterial blood gas studies. So those are the kinds of studies objectively that the Social Security Administration is going to be looking for. 2, the Social Security Administration is also going to be looking for the elimination of any other cause of your RLS. And so that's crucial because ultimately they have to determine if your RLS is a medically determinable impairment. The second thing is we need to address the restrictions and limitations that have been caused as a result of your problems. And I think the best way to do that is to have your doctor complete what's called a residual functional capacity form. Now, it may be necessary to have you undergo a functional capacity evaluation or a neuropsychological testing if you have cognitive issues, but we really want your doctor to document the restrictions and limitations not only in your medical records, but by completing a residual functional capacity form. The third thing we can, I think is important, is that we can claim additional health conditions that are caused by your RLS that entitle you to your Social Security disability benefits. So it's not uncommon for people who have sleep disorders to have other medical issues, such as cardiological issues. That could be a heart attack. It could be problems with your heart rate, your heartbeat, and we want to develop those medical conditions. Now, don't forget, those medical conditions can also include problems with diabetes and also problems with kidney failure. So you may not, and by the way, which can also potentially involve a stroke. But what we want to do is to look at each condition individually and in combination. So as I've said, we want to develop those conditions, but we also want to look at other conditions that are implicated. That can be Parkinson's disease, there can be, as I've said, diabetes, and there can be peripheral neuropathy issues. So we want to develop not only the underlying sleep apnea issues, we also want to develop the conditions that you'll see as a side effect, and you can also develop the conditions that a restless leg syndrome has been seen as an implicating factor. So there's three ways to do this combination. The fourth factor, of course, is to address the side effects of medication. The medication that you take can impact your ability to function, but there are also, by the way, medications that can cause symptoms that mimic restless leg syndrome. So we want to make sure that we are addressing the side effects of medication. And the fifth thing that we need to be talking about, regardless of the nature of your disability, is to make sure that your medical records are documenting not only your symptoms, but how those symptoms impact your ability to function. The way that the Social Security Administration understands a claim is through a story. Now, your medical records will tell a story of what's going on with you medically, but you may have fatigue, headaches, cognitive issues. You might have that heart condition that limits your ability to lift, stand, or sit. So we want to make sure that your medical records are telling the story not only of the symptoms that you have because of your sleep issues, but any of those other medical conditions that impact your ability to function. So make sure that you are giving your doctors a good interval history of what your symptoms are between visits and how the symptoms impact your ability to function. So we want to make sure that we are giving a complete and total story to the Social Security that's supported by your physician. Filing a claim for Social Security disability benefits for restless leg syndrome is not easy. The forms are not easy, and quite frankly, the work history form doesn't really ask questions about the cognitive issues associated with your work activities. So if you're having cognitive issues as a result of fatigue or side effects of medication, we want to make sure that we're developing that in your work history form. And again, we want to make sure that your medical records are supporting your claim, documenting the objective basis of the diagnosis, the testing, and documenting the severity of your medical conditions. The support of your physician with that residual functional capacity form is crucial. I know that filing a claim on your own can result in a denial, and as a result, you'll have to file what's called a request for reconsideration within 30 days of the date of the denial. And many times people try to do that on their own, which results in yet another denial. And that means that you're going to end up in front of an administrative law judge. As an experienced Social Security disability attorney, I do things differently than most Social Security disability attorneys. I get you ready for the hearing by showing you a mock video of the Social Security hearing process, but more importantly, I've shot a video that explains to you how to answer questions that you're going to be asked by the judge. And then you and I are going to practice to make sure that you know how to tell your story, not only truthfully, but in a way that the Social Security Administration will accept. So If your doctor's told you to stop working, it's time for you to talk to me about your restless leg syndrome Social Security case. And if your claim has been denied, remember, you're only going to have 60 days in which to request reconsideration or a hearing. So don't miss the deadline. I don't want you to have to start over. With the help of an experienced Social Security disability attorney such as myself, statistics show that over 2/3 of the time benefits are going to be awarded by the administrative law judge. So don't delay. Call me today.